For USCFootball.com, I'm Jack Smith, joined by Chris Treviño and the Wild Bunch to bring you instant analysis from USC's Tuesday morning practice. Chris, not quite as hot today. First practice in Fresno State week.
Right, full pads day, like you said, not as hot. It seemed like they got started a little bit later than usual. I feel like everyone was late. The traffic was so bad in LA, so maybe everyone just got a slower start for the day. But yes, it's Fresno State week. USC is back in the Coliseum for their first night game of the season, so I think fans are excited. A lot less hot it's going to be on Saturday, so I'm expecting a really good turnout. But you saw the team out there sweating a lot. They seem to have an uptick in energy. I felt like there was a different level of energy out there. I think they were excited about coming back home, going to play in front of a night crowd.
Yeah, so we're not allowed to report on injuries, but Lincoln Riley made sure to note two different players. They're going to get a little bit of rest early on after getting injured versus Stanford. That's Courtland and Romello Height. So two guys in the trenches. Chris, what do you make of what Lincoln had to say?
Right, we cannot report on injuries, but if Lincoln is asked about a specific player that we see out at practice, then it's fair game because it's out there in public record. But obviously Romello Height, we saw on Saturday, left the game in the first quarter, I believe, was seen on the sidelines, slinged up, out of pads. He was done for the day. He's going to get rested. I mean, that's a shoulder. That's a tough one, especially if it keeps popping out and whatnot. Romello Height's really tough dude. He's been playing through that shoulder injury. It seems like since the start of fall camp, in and out with non-contact jerseys, back in practice, sitting out a couple. But now they're just going to take the time. They're going to let it rest, see what it needs to do, see if they can get it right before moving forward. He'll be evaluated later. And then obviously Courtland is the other big one that we mentioned and saw on Saturday leave the game, had his ankle taped up on Saturday, left in a cart, so a little bit concerning, obviously, because USC does not have a ton of offensive line depth, but same message from Lincoln Riley that they're going to rest him early in the week, and then they're going to reevaluate him later and see where he's at for the possibility of maybe playing this week. But USC does have some options at that left tackle, Jack.
Well, the flyover's not trying to help you help you talk about the helicopter trying to distract, but we got to talk to Bobby Haskins, who's going to replace Courtland, possibly if Courtland can't play this weekend. Tomorrow we get to talk to Solomon Byrd and Corey Foreman, someone who will try and replace Romello Height on the defensive line. What did you think about what Lincoln and Bobby had to say about possibly taking over at left tackle?
I'm pretty sure that flyover was Lincoln Riley trying to mute out our sound so nobody hears about the injury updates. But Bobby Haskins is obviously, they've been doing this rotation thing, so lucky for USC fans in this offense that they will have an experienced left tackle, assuming Courtland is not able to go. Bobby Haskins, 3-year starter at Virginia, multiple starts at left tackle. They're in good hands, and they kind of talked about how, they've been playing well. He's been playing well. This is something that they wanted to get going early in the season for the possibility of maybe picking one of them. It seems like now the injury gods have forced Bobby Haskins to kind of be the guy going into this week. I asked Justin Dietich, team captain, about Bobby Haskins, assuming, it sounds like he's going to be given a lot more time if Courtland doesn't go, but he said, he's just so experienced. That's what stands out. He's probably the most experienced guy on the offensive line outside of Big Andrew Voorhees right there in the middle at left guard. So he was joking about that, but obviously he is learning a new system, so there is sort of that learning curve of trying to pick up Lincoln's system on the fly. Missed spring, so didn't really get on the field. So I think we're still seeing some of that. And Justin did joke that while he is the most experienced, we have multiple playbooks under our belt, joking that the offensive line guys have learned multiple offenses, and Bobby has only had one. So they're a little bit quicker at picking up offenses, but that was just a little bit of joke. But he's coming along fine, and I think everyone will feel in just that, like the USC's offense will be just in fine hands with number 70 protecting that blind side.
And even with a little mix-up at left tackle, I don't know about you, but I think the offensive line has been fantastic through the first two games. Just so much experience, all the way from left guard, all the way to right tackle, from Voorhees to Monheim. So I think the offensive line is in good hands. Of course, Bobby does have a lot of experience. What do you make of possibly what could go on at edge rusher?
Right. I mean, what we're going to probably see is more Solomon Byrd. Had that big breakout kind of game against Stanford, 2 sacks on the day, including the nail in the coffin sack. He was walking out of practice. He had a little bit more swagger, when you have a big game. I kind of saw that. Corey Foreman is obviously going to be involved. They'll probably be more of a split. They were rotating them both in and out on Saturday, and I would expect to see a lot more of that going this weekend into Fresno State. But Solomon Byrd obviously has a lot of that momentum. We're expecting to talk to Corey Foreman tomorrow and Solomon tomorrow, so we'll probably have updates on them. But I would say you ride with the hot hand, and right now I would say that Byrd certainly has the hot hand after his performance against Stanford.
Another one with a hot hand in the performance against Stanford is going to be Max Williams. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you for your prediction. Max Williams forcing not 1, but 2 turnovers. So maybe you want to take a little victory lap on that?
I don't like to gloat or anything, but that's what they pay me to do. But his first interception of his career, and especially for a guy who's gone through so much, Jack, multiple knee injuries, working his way back, kind of one of the heart and souls of this defense. And a guy, ask any coach, they'll probably spend 20 minutes just raving about him. Ask any player, any of his teammates, same thing. So that's the kind of player that Max is and how important he is to this defense. So to be able to see him rewarded by getting not 1 but 2 turnovers, or 1 forcing 1 turnover, is just it was great to see on Saturday.
Yeah, so I got to ask Max a lot of questions. Got to ask him about Caleb and Lincoln Riley taking time out of the press conference to just congratulate Max on being back, talk about his versatility and what he means to the team. Also got to talk to him about just the defensive performance in general. He thought Mekhi Blackman did a great job. It's great to play alongside Kalen Bullock, but he mentioned the defense not overly happy with the way they've played through 2 games. I think it kind of echoes what Lincoln Riley says, where there's some flash plays, but they do need to raise the floor of play. What do you take from what Max said?
Right, and that's nothing, outlandish or anything we're surprised about. It's 2 weeks into the season, and based on, some of the things we've seen on Saturdays, this defense should absolutely not be happy with the way they're playing. They have a lot of great plays. Obviously, they lead the nation in turnover margin. They're making a lot of splash plays behind the line of scrimmage. They lead the Pac-12 in tackles for a loss with 20. They are 6th in the nation tackles for a loss. They lead the Pac-12 in sacks with 9. So a lot of great things, but there's also some bad things. So they can never be complacent. It's only week 2, like I mentioned. So this defense has to keep growing and learning with this Alex Grinch scheme. But I think it's what's important, and you mentioned it before we went on air, is that this defense is able to make those plays and able to help win games while they're still learning. And I think that's a sign of a good defense, or a defense that can be great, is that they can kind of learn on the fly, make plays, and step up when it matters. And that's kind of what this defense is doing. It's a true bend, don't break defense at this moment. Hopefully you want to see them become a little bit more stout, get some more stops, and not, give fans heart attacks when they get into the red zone and turn the ball over there and force those turnovers. But a lot to like about this defense, but a lot that needs to improve. And that's just kind of the message that Lincoln Riley, Alex Grinch, and all these defensive players are kind of harping on as we move into Fresno and beyond.
Now, there's no perfect teams through 2 weeks of college football, and I think the good teams improve from week 1 to the rest of the season, but the great teams are able to win while they're still improving. And we saw, a lot of improvement from the defense against the scout team offense today. You want to take it away with what we saw from them?
Yeah, it was a very playmaker kind of day for this defense. And again, it's scout team offense, so just keep that in mind. But obviously we cannot give formations or anything like that. But there were some plays. There was a lot of plays in the backfield. Nick Figueroa, Julian Simon both had sacks. Brandon Peely had a massive tackle for a loss. And the big MVP of that scout was probably Eric Gentry. Long, and he used that length very well. He had 2 picks against the scout team offense. One was a tip drill that he went down and got. Not low for him, he just kind of reached down there with those long, I believe he has a 7'4" wingspan, so that was just ridiculous. And then he had a really nice pick in the flat where he kind of reached out with that wingspan, one-handed it and brought it in. That one would have been a pick 6 on Saturday. So maybe a little foreshadowing, maybe another prediction for me in the future. Maybe Eric Gentry gets involved with his first turnover of the season. And then Kalen Bullock also had a couple of picks. One was a nice one down the field. Another one was sort of not really a pick because Nick Figueroa had already sacked the quarterback, and the quarterback just kind of threw it up. But nonetheless, he had 2 picks. Prophet Brown had a really nice pass breakup over the middle. So a lot of plays being made out today against the scout team offense. And again, scout team offense, but plays nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think they echoed the energy, the strain that Alex Grinch has been talking about. They also just looked, I think, a little bit more locked down than we've seen them in the actual games. Again, could be just a scout team offense, but I was feeling encouraged by the way that the defense was playing, and it really seems like they're taking into account what they've seen in the first 2 games, and then also what Alex Grinch and this defensive coaching staff have been echoing the entire offseason. One thing that we've been talking about recently is just the ease of the Trojan recruiting, and what Annie Hansen's been doing on that front, doing all the little things right. We got to see that firsthand today. A whole high school came in from Hawaii, and Annie Hansen looked like she was handling that really well. What did you see early on before we even went into practice?
Right, we had some VIPs on campus, and any recruit that steps on campus is a VIP in the eyes of this USC recruiting staff. That was Milani High School. I believe I said that right. I hope I said that right. But like you said, they're out from Hawaii. They're playing Mater Dei on Friday out there at St. John Bosco, part of that East-West kind of matchup game. But yeah, the whole team was here. A lot of vans, a lot of coaches, and Annie Hansen had a busy morning, getting name tags out to people, shaking hands, introducing people, talking about LA, and her and her staff were on point. They were getting the kids pens to sign their waivers. They were talking to coaches. She would talk to anybody, not even if they looked important. Like, I think she was eating, the water girls on the sideline at games. She was talking to those people, talking about, if they've ever been to LA. Just so personable. And we kind of saw that firsthand because we were literally in the scrum of people. That's because they were taking up the entire front part of the tunnel. And, she was giving a little bit of a history lesson, like, what do you guys know about USC? Technically we have 7 Heisman winners, wink, wink, free Reggie Bush. So she was just kind of giving a background about that, talking about the NFL scouts that stepped on campus. Every day we have at least one NFL scout. So she was kind of wink, wink, look at the location. She was selling location. And Milani is their mascot is the Trojans. So before they went in, she made them break down with a fight on. I don't believe that they do the fight on their Trojans, but that was a nice little coming together moment before they went into practice. They had some coaches address the team after practice. We saw some of that. So yeah, this is the first, I believe, group of kids we've seen on campus since fall camp that we've seen in terms of media availability. But yeah, it was nice to see them up close and personal, kind of doing their job, what they do best. That's recruiting, building relationships.
I think this is a good sign, a good way to end off this instant analysis. Chris, are there any more notes that you want to add on before we wrap it up? Get to maybe some Fresno State prep tomorrow, and then tunnel vision on Thursday. Yeah,
I don't really have much unless you want to pat me on the back one more time for the Max Williams. Yeah, that's all I can ask for. That's all I got.
Well, I've been Jack Smith. This is Chris Treviño, still with the Wild Bunch. Instant analysis on Tuesday. Make sure you go check out our YouTube channel. We've got highlights, all the interviews from today, and we'll be back tomorrow. Check out uscfootball.com for more.